Hello, my name is Ned LeBlond. I am the Managing Director for the Institute for Social Transformation. Thank you all so much for coming to the Building Belonging Students Showcase. There's been a lot of work that has been put into this moment. I definitely want to thank you all for taking the time to actually be here. The Institute for Social Transformation does a lot. We do have these student programs. We also have our Transforming Futures summer program, which are internships, but we also support staff and do a lot of research across campus and really help faculty with getting community engagement happening with local communities and work to support the social sciences faculty and all the divisions to really think through how we can actually do research with impact. And so thank you for all the students who've put in this work to join that legacy and to really build this cohort. It's really interesting coming from the Institute and hearing the stories about building belonging, because in some ways that's how a lot of faculty actually know us, because of the work that you've done and because of the experiences that you all have just had. They, in a lot of ways, think that this is what we do, is this program. And that just speaks a lot to the impact that you all are having through these research experiences. I think it's really special to me. One of the tidbits that I'm going to pull out is that the board mentioned how much more prepared students are coming out of these for future research experiences. So I really, really think that what you all have done and achieved this year is really special. And you may not know what you've achieved yet so far, and that's okay. But we really look forward to hearing from you all. But first, before we really get into the presentations, I just wanted to say thank you all. Thank you for showing up today. It's been a very difficult time. We're all struggling for ourselves, and we're all struggling to make the world a better place. And it's really important for us to share this space together, to share in our humanity together, and to try and find that commonality and common purpose with us. And I think that happens best when we are in space. Coming out of the pandemic, I feel like this is one of the most important things that we can be doing. I do want to honor and acknowledge the land that we are on and the Amamutsan tribal band. We are on the unceded land of their ancestors. This is the land of the who spoke the Awasa speaking Yupi tribe, or their ancestors. And this is our land, and in that space of grace and acknowledgement that we are on this land and trying to find the humanity, that we have big issues to solve. And finding that commonality and humanity is part of having an open space and conversation with that, and having that open acknowledgement is very important to us. One last thanks before we move on to introductions for the students and to Catherine. I just want to have us all put our hands together. There is someone here who has been the backbone of this program. Evan Knight has put on this for several years. The Building Belonging program wouldn't happen without her hard work. She does so much more than just emails. She has made this space possible after so much reorganization. So I definitely want to acknowledge Evan. There's a little bit of housekeeping I should actually address. There won't be any official breaks, so please feel free to take care of your needs as they come up. There won't be time for question and answer. So that time will be will be served best during the reception following the event. So please take advantage of that. The event is being recorded. So this is going to be a great time for you to spread the word about building belonging and help share your story and what you've actually done here. And I really want to encourage students to know who's coming before you, because transitions are going to be really difficult and key for us staying on time today. So please take a moment to check one of the emails that Evan sent you and know who's coming before you so that you know when it's your time to come up. Evan will advance the slides for you. She'll have a clicker so you can cue on her. You don't even have to touch the screen. All right, so you're going to hear from 38 of the 57 Building Belonging students today. And to help us understand the why behind what we're doing here and what the program has done, I want to invite up Catherine Mitchell, the Dean of Social Sciences.
Thanks, Ned. How's the sound? Can you hear me okay? Okay, good. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really delighted to share this day with you, this beautiful afternoon, and I appreciate your spending it here when you could be out enjoying the sun, because there hasn't been quite enough of it this quarter, I think, in general. As dean, I'm not supposed to have favorite programs, but I have to tell you a secret. This is my favorite program. As one faculty member said to me once, building belonging is gold. And it really is, and I think you all know it and know why. In the Division of Social Sciences, we know that connecting students with faculty and their research is one of the most important things that we can do on campus. It's a powerful experience for the students in all kinds of ways. And not only does it give the students the opportunity to develop research skills at the cutting edge of new knowledge, but it also affords the chance to build closer ties and relationships with faculty, which is one of the ways that people feel close to a community and feel at home, feel a sense of belonging. All too often, however, students, especially those who are coming from first generation or low income or historically marginalized backgrounds, they're excluded from these kinds of opportunities because of cost, even though these opportunities are crucial components to doing well in college. The Building Belonging program is expressly designed to dismantle some of these kinds of barriers and to give students the chance to work directly on world-class research, such as what our faculty are engaged in the social sciences particularly. It expands the opportunity to engage with faculty mentors, and it fosters a deeper sense of belonging and connection to UCSC. So how does the program work? Well, the faculty identify brilliant people like you all in their classrooms and in other areas where they're working, and they apply to the Institute for Social Transformation for the funding to be able to hire you, and then the students are able to be paid through the program for the research, and otherwise, might have to do it as a volunteer activity, which might not be possible. So the Building Belonging Fellowships offer $1,500 scholarships per quarter that opens up these opportunities to students with limited financial means. So we really want to thank the generous donors who allowed us to start this program, and we also want to thank the Institute for administering it for many years, especially Evan. Thank you, Evan, again. So I'll just share some numbers for you that are pretty amazing. Since we launched this program in 2020, we have awarded 450 student scholarships. And that totals more than $690,000 going directly to students. This has supported over 160 faculty research projects, so pretty amazing. So, our event today provides our Building Belonging students, you all, the opportunity to share your research with the community. And we're going to hear today from 38 students, people who have taken on research projects with a wide range that includes mapping the history of Filipino farm workers in the Pajaro Valley, coastal climate change resilience, immigrant justice and belonging, understanding advocacy around root causes of migration, bird ecotourism, the venom lab and snakes, and a lot more. But you can just get a taste of how diverse and amazing some of this research is. So if you want more information about any of the other projects that I didn't have a chance to mention, all of them are on the Institute's website, and you could just go to the website and check it out. So please join me in celebrating this incredible work. Back to Ned.
All right, student presenters, you have 2 minutes, and I'm going to give you the 1 minute warning and the 30-second warning, so you kind of keep yourselves on time. And I am excited to invite up Genevieve Greco, who's going to present on Becoming Partisan, the development of children's social preferences based on political group makers. So come on up, Genevieve.
So this project was about understanding how children express political partisanship. That is, how children are being biased or favoring others based on political affiliation, such as being Republican, Democrat, or supporting Biden or Trump for presidency. We interviewed 6 to 12-year-old U.S. children and researched whether these children had a political affiliation, if they knew their parents' political affiliation, and how they were making friendships based off these political affiliations. As you can see on the slide here, these are some of the examples of the friendship trials we ran during this study. So why this research is important is because despite the idea that children don't know what politics is, we are seeing that 70% of our participants do have political affiliations. So since I was a part of this study since the pilot, I've been lucky enough to go through the many different stages of research. That includes doing outreach, where I would contact participant families, interviewing children, where I would run the study with the children, organizing data, where I would manage participant information, as well as transcribing participant responses. Why this is important is because we need to understand that children do know what politics is, and instead of shielding them away from these conversations, we should be including them in the matter to create a healthier political climate. Research is also a long and collaborative process, and that was a big lesson that I've learned. And by being a part of it, I've learned to work more independently, collaboratively, and with a greater critical mind. And it is thanks to this program that I've had this wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Genevieve. So I'm going to call up Leave, but I'm going to let Crystal Solis know that she's on deck. So, sorry. Up now is Leave Fragiacomo, who's going to present on economic benefits of bird ecotourism in Colombia.
Hello, everyone. I'm an environmental studies student with the help of Natalia Ocampo Penuela. I went to Colombia to help dive deeper into the economic benefits of bird ecotourism. You might ask, what even is that? Basically, throughout Colombia, it's a biodiversity hotspot for birds, and there are these sites that have amphibian feeders, which are basically bird feeders for this elusive small bird, and people come from around the world to come and see the birds. And basically what we wanted to look at was how bird ecotourism could be used as an outlet for conservation, and the efforts in stewarding the land and these trails can help conserve these cloud forests across Colombia. So we did interviews in a bunch of sites across Colombia, in Manizales, Cali, Rio Sucio, and we went to all these places, met with the people. A lot of them came from a bunch of different backgrounds and different family dynamics. Some were very rural, some came from a line of wealth. But there's a lot of importance in this research, just to kind of show people in Colombia, show the government how this can be a viable income source for people. And it also is like a preventative source of protecting the forests from being cleared for lumber or rangeland. And it also just demonstrates the success of these kind of industries and how they can protect the ecosystems and these important species.
Thank you, Leave. On deck is Dimitri and Bavia, but we are going to welcome up Crystal Solis, who's going to let us know about exploring the politics of contested legitimacy and transformative climate urbanism, a comparative examination of Santa Cruz, San Jose, and San Francisco.
Hello, everyone. My name is Crystal Solis. I am a third-year undergraduate student majoring in politics. This quarter, I worked on a research project alongside faculty member Professor David Gordon. The main goal of this project was to answer two key questions: how are local governments building support for their climate change plans, as well as two, what are the public reactions to these plans, and how might these reactions undermine the efforts made by local governments in implementing their transformative changes? I conducted research by analyzing news articles, videos, and government websites. I then collected data from these sources and coded the information into a spreadsheet. The research that I've mainly been focusing on this quarter looked at San Francisco's climate plan, which aims for net zero emissions by 2040. The SF Environment Department developed this plan with targets for initiatives like shifting to low carbon transportation, providing renewable electricity, creating zero emission buildings, and increasing affordable housing. The city also emphasizes collaboration with community members, public officials, and businesses to meet their climate goals while prioritizing equitable solutions for all. Upon reviewing public discourse about the plan, I did find that it raises several public concerns, primarily about budget allocation, as well as potential corruption in the SF Environment Department, and logistical issues such as time management and the removal of parking spots to replace them with bike lanes. Regarding the significance of the project, we wanted to determine how local governments are building strong political coalitions that will overcome potential resistance and objections to their plans so that they can successfully execute their climate change initiatives. It's important to see how different cities are justifying themselves in the eyes of the public so that effective strategies and areas for improvement in these plans are implemented. And as I conclude my presentation, I just want to express my gratitude to the Building Belonging program, which gave me and other students who might come from vulnerable communities the chance to create research projects. So yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. Lottie, you are on deck, and we are welcoming up now Dimitri Cardonia and Bhavya Kalam and their project Laboratory Life and Social Death, the Problem of Diversity in Science and Society.
My name is Dimitri Cardona, and I'm a fourth-year sociology major and Stevenson affiliate. Throughout the academic year 2023 and 2024, I've collaborated with Professor Doucette Battle and Bhavya Kalam to research the topic of diversity for Professor Doucette's forthcoming book, Laboratory Life and Social Death, the Problem of Diversity in Science and Society. My research was predicated towards analyzing and deciphering the problem of diversity in various aspects such as education, STEM, and society. I did this by conducting numerous annotated bibliographies that focused on topics such as the African American's average experience in higher education and analyzing the efforts higher education institutions have made to promote diversity. These annotated bibliographies prompted the creation of our diagram above, which displays a few of the common key terms found through the articles we analyzed and how the politics of diversity, equity, and inclusion are important factors in both society and science. As this is my second year participating in the Building Belonging Foundation, I'm grateful to have had the opportunity and time to learn strong critical analysis and research skills that will serve me well as I intend to pursue a PhD in sociology after graduating this summer. The emphasis on the lack of diversity throughout society and higher education has encouraged me to become a professor in the late future to hopefully inspire and instill a sense of belonging into others. I want to give thanks to the Building Belonging Foundation, Professor Doucette Battle, and the sociology department, and all the colleagues I've worked with as a research assistant throughout my time at UCSC.
Hi, my name is Bhavya Kalam. I'm a second year majoring in biotechnology and global community health. A significant part of my research involved creating annotated bibliographies on the topics such as the lack of diversity, diverse participation in both subjects and researchers. The extensive review of literature allowed us to develop a comprehensive diagram, as we see up there, highlighting key concepts like ethical challenges, policy implication, privacy concerns, and sociogenomics. For instance, my analysis of genomic research brought to light critical ethical challenges, including issues related to privacy and the health disparities of genetic studies. These insights underlie the necessity of strengthening ethical guidelines and policies to navigate the complex landscape of genomic science responsibly. My exploration of sociogenomics revealed stark inequalities, illustrating how genetic research can sometimes perpetuate existing disparities. This realization has enforced my belief in the importance of integrating socio-ethical considerations into scientific research to ensure it benefits all segments of society equitably. The project highlights the connection between diversity in science and society, inclusion initiatives in STEM fields are closely tied to policy measures aiming at fostering diversity and inclusive environments. By advocating for inclusive practices and ethical considerations across disciplines, we aim to contribute to a more equitable scientific community. Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you, Dimitri, for speaking about how this has actually impacted your life. I appreciate that. Right, Rosalind, I think you are on deck, and we would like to welcome up Zitlali Trejo, multilingual learners in community colleges.
Hello, my name is Zitlali Trejo. I'm a psychology and education double major, and I'm working with faculty advisors George Bunch and Kylie Kenna, that's over there. So a quick project overview is that this research project that has been going on since 2019 has been focusing on identifying the barriers, opportunities, policies, and practices which are impacting multilingual learners in community college. These multilingual learners come with a variety and range of linguistic, professional, and educational backgrounds. The importance of this research study is that it helps understand this very large but understudied student population, which has proven to be a large educational equity issue as asylum seekers and professional and as asylum seekers and immigrants that need English language support to succeed. So far, my contributions have consisted of transcribing 23 interviews, which have consisted of administrators, faculty, and students from the city colleges of Chicago, which are pictured right there. And I've been attending research meetings since fall 2023, and I've read articles related to the research we've been doing. Some key takeaways include that there's a lack of staff resources which have been negatively impacting student success, and that there has shown to be a continued need to understand students' complex experiences and backgrounds. We are currently working on our final report for the Institute for Educational Sciences, and we'll be sharing our findings soon. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on deck is Alyssa and Ariam. And up now is Rosalind Gloria, understanding advocacy around root causes of migration, transnational solidarity in Central America and beyond. Is this the video? Yeah.
Hello, my name is Rosalind, and my project title is Understanding Advocacy Around the Root Causes of Migration, Transnational Solidarity in Central America and Beyond. So the overview is, despite the initial improvements following President Biden's inauguration, there remains a critical need for comprehensive measures to be put into place to address the ongoing challenges concerning asylum and equal human rights in Central America, with an emphasis on El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. So what is migration? It is the movement of the people away from their country of origin, which has long shaped human history. When Biden won, we truly believe we will be seeing significant changes within our immigration system, but unfortunately that is not the case, because the past 3 years, he has taken on a more conservative view that has actually influenced and impacted the way we view migration policies. So through my research, we built a comprehensive investigation into the initial data collection into non-governmental organization reports, U.S. migration policies, and foreign aid policies within Central America that helped us underpin root causes of migration, and to find that Biden's approach has actually made things at the border worse. So the key insights, we found that migrants from Central America embrace hope as an alternative to the hardships of violence, poverty, and hunger. The 4 subgroups we found for root causes would be legal issues, economic security, government corruption and inefficiency, hopelessness, and despair. Through my primary findings through reading databases and stats, we found that 15% of all migrant deaths were caused by the use of force, wall falls, border patrol chases, or were deaths that occurred in custody, the lack of accessible legal pathways, coyotes assisting migrants in crossing the border, exchange for fees, exposing them to potential violence, exploitation, and manipulation, and the multiple casualties that have existed within the border, and how it can be a representation of how the American dream has died as well if you don't fall into the category of minority. Overall, the overall emphasis of my project would be to call attention to Biden and his administration to build better legislative policies surrounding migration, because how can you turn a blind eye when human rights are being violated?
Wow, how powerful is that? I love that, and I do really wish that Rosalind was here so we could talk to her after this at the reception, because I think she has a lot for us to share. All right. So that was only one group of 4. So you can actually see the broad breadth of what we're actually learning and how much knowledge is being produced here. So I really appreciate that. All right. We are, actually, first, Rodella, you're on deck. We're here to welcome Ariam and Alyssa and their presentation on ant community ecology and tropical forest restoration. Take it away.
Hi, I'm Alyssa, and this is Ariam, and our project is Ant Community Ecology and Tropical Forest Restoration. So, ants were collected from colonies in various restoration treatments that have been ongoing for over 10 years in southern Costa Rica. There were 3 different types of treatments. There was plantation, where trees were planted, which is an active restoration. There was natural regeneration, so no trees were planted. This is passive restoration. And there were reference forests, so forests that are at least a century old as a control for comparison. There were 3 different ways of collecting the ants. There's dispersal, so ants at seed baits are captured. This targets seed dispersers. There's winkler, which traps ants in leaf litter, and this targets the more cryptic ants. And there is pitfall, which collects ants that have fallen into a pit, so this targets more terrestrial ants.
So after the ants are collected in Costa Rica through several methods, as we said, wrinklers, dispersal, and pitfall, where in some of the methods the ants are classified through morphospecies, and then they are preserved in a vial in a lab, and ethanol, 70%, and then it's tabbed or classified. As you can see in the photo, it says LLCA wrinkler, and then it shows the date, telling us the way the ants in the vial were collected, in what date, the site, treatment, and the community. When these vials are brought to lab, we put them in a microscope and pin them, and then to be specific, we remove them from the ethanol, and then we put them in a clean surface to dry for a little bit of time. And then depending on the ant size, we use a paper tab that fits the ant size, and we glue that paper in a little bit in front of the PDO, in between the right side of the back of the legs, as we can see at the most top part of the picture. And then we pin the paper tab with a needle and prepare it for a photograph. We make sure that the legs or antennas are not covering the segments at the PDO so that it's clear when they're being identified. And then after photograph, they're identified by the size of the head, eye, mandibles, femur, and so on and so on. Thank you.
All right, on deck is Sophia, Miguel, and Marissa. And I would like to welcome up Rodella and stereotype vulnerability and math achievement among Latinx children.
Hi, I'm Rodella. I'm a psych major, and my faculty mentor is Saskia Casanova from Migration, Identity, and Education Lab. And my research project is stereotype vulnerability and math achievement among Latinx children. So our research question is, what is the relationship between stereotype vulnerability to math performance among Latinx children? And the data we collected is 117 Latinx 3rd to 5th graders from 2 public elementary schools in Arizona. And our measurement is race-based stereotype vulnerability. It was measured by developing a 6-item race SV in math scale. And as you can see, the sample item is, if you do poorly on a test, people will assume that it is because of your race. And we measured the math performance using 3 standardized math assessments. And our result is basically race-based stereotype vulnerability was negatively associated with Latinx children's math scores. And I thank the Building Belonging program and Miela for this experience, because I wouldn't have felt confident to actually do certain tasks, such as creating an annotated bibliography, or just kind of taking an initiative to suggest the changes that you can make to this, either the paper or certain aspects of the experiment, if I hadn't been in this program. And I feel like it gives me the confidence to go into grad school and be oh yeah, I have this research experience because I was in this program that helped me go through it.
Thank you so much. All right, on deck is Elise, and inviting up a very exciting title with Sophia, Miguel, and Marissa is the Venom Lab, Snake Science and Interdisciplinary Historical Research. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Marissa Guzman, and these are my compañeros. Do you want to say your name?
I'm Sofia Trigueros Soffer.
I'm Miguel Ares Vasquez.
So we worked with Dr. Lily Balofe of the Latin American Latino Studies Department with her current research of Venom Lab, which focuses on the beyond human in social sciences. Basically, what we're looking at in that is like looking at different ways in which that we can understand the way, like we can understand history from a beyond human perspective and the convergence of the natural cultural interface. So basically meaning like how can we understand something that maybe we already know and using archival work, but from a completely different perspective of using non-humans.
Okay. The part I was working with was about the history of people and life with animals, venomous animals, and there was a story of one person who was, his name was Jorge Washington Avalos, was a rural teacher and venomous scientist and writer in Argentina. And what I was, my contribution for this project was transcribing interviews. One was conducted by Dr. Balofe when she went to Costa Rica, and I was also doing a text analysis, and this project allowed me to grow up as a research, and that is something that have helped me a lot.
Okay, so my name is Sofia, and I worked with a database called the Bitácora de Serpientes de Costa Rica, which was a record of all the snakes being brought to the Instituto Cloromio Picao for the production and research of antivenom. And it was between the years of 2004 to 2009, and it was a handwritten log of all the snakes collected by snake collectors and local people within the area, and there were over 1,000 entries. So it was handwritten, so I transferred it to be an online database and then turned that into an interactive map, which is accessible to the public, which I think is so important because this work is so important because the documentation of these records is often forgotten in the conversation of public health, and without the contributions of snake collectors and the local people within Costa Rica, the project for antivenom would not have been possible. And I think that research and my personal experience with building the Belonging Program has meant a lot for me, as it gave me a greater sense of belonging in the LALS community and a better connection to my family in Costa Rica.
We still have a little. Are we out of
One
time?
more? We're out of time, but we're kind of on schedule, so.
Okay, sorry. As you can see, we did a lot of work. We've been doing a ton of work. But so just quickly, I worked with a database that was tracking snakebite resulting in injuries and fatalities across the United Fruit Company corporate medical facilities in Central and South America. Working with Dr. Balofe with like these actual archival materials has definitely been one of the highlights of my time here at UCSC. I got to work with her closely on like traditional historical archival techniques, like how to identify and document relevant information, but I also learned how to allow the materials to guide me through an inquiry. And during this time, I worked to identify clinical information and records that were kept by the United Fruit Company. And I spent time documenting the charts and case studies that were yearly reported by the clinics about different sites in Latin America.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have time for.
Should
maybe talk about really quick. We also all each did I did an independent study and multiple continuing projects off of the Venom Lab that were inspired by the Venom Lab. So these were some of those. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I bet nobody but these three thought you were going to think about those things today. All right, who is on deck? I think it is Chris, Aaron, and Lupita. And I would like to welcome up Elise, who's going to speak about the trade and origins of the Oyo Empire war horses.
Hello, everybody. My name is Elise. I'm a fourth-year transfer student in the anthropology department, and I'll be talking about the trade and origins of the Oyo Empire war ponies. So in the 17th to the 18th century in Nigeria, the Oyo Empire was known for the largest Yoruba state polity, known for its notorious cavalry, although the presence of these horses is contested due to the fact that this region is inhabitable and unsuitable for breeding and for the life longevity of these horses due to the threat of the tsetse fly and West African horse disease. So for our project, I've been looking at finding the origins and the trade of these horses. Where are they coming from? And so with the guidance of my professor, Vicky Ultz, I was able to conduct the strontium stable isotope analysis on 37 sample teeth from 26 identified horses from the excavation assemblage. And in the assemblage, I was also able to identify some cuts and some marks for burn, maybe indicating some processing after death. And also the results were able to let us know that the horses were imported from various regions across Nigeria, as you can see. And they were coming from across different regions of Nigeria and all ending up in the same excavation place in Ide-Ile. And with this data, we're also looking for further analyses so that we can have more detailed patterns on where the origins of these horses were actually coming from. And I would just like to also thank the Building Belonging program for giving this opportunity. Without this, I would probably not have a lot of research experience for grad school. And as a transfer student, I only had 2 years to catch up. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It made me wonder what the difference is between a horse and a pony is. All right, on deck is Evelyn, and I'm welcoming up Lupita, Chris, and Aaron about the EEG replication project.
Hi, I would just love to thank our lovely professor, Liv Hoverstein. She has been a pillar of support and inspiration. Yeah.
Hi, so I'm Aaron. This is Lupita and this is Chris. We work with Dr. Hoverstein in the Bilingual Language Processing Lab, and we use EEG and eye tracking to understand the underlying neurocognitive mechanisms in language comprehension and bilingual control. The project that we're working on is a replication study conducted by Terry and Wu in 2007. We are replicating the study due to the ongoing replication crisis in the field of psychology, that many well-known psychological studies have been found to be difficult or impossible to replicate or to reproduce. So this has led to increased efforts to promote transparency, improve research practices, and enhance credibility to prioritize replication studies in the field.
In this study, we use the same methods from the original study where half the English words contain a character repetition translated into Mandarin to determine whether the bilingual participants are translating in their native language when reading in their second language. Then we, to determine, we extract ERPs from the EEG data, which measures the activity across the cortex. The ERPs are then averaged out and time locked to the specific stimulus of interest for analysis, specifically examining for an N400 effect in the bilingual participants when a hidden character repetition is present in the Mandarin translation. As you can see in this figure on the right here, such as post and mail, they have the same character repetition in the beginning. We expect to see an N400 effect, which is sensitive to semantic manipulations, but only for the Chinese English bilingual participants, as shown in figure B over there in the top left corner.
Okay, yeah, so the results that Thierry and Wu found in figure A, as you can see, that was English monolinguals, and then figure B was bilinguals, and figure C was just Mandarin monolinguals. So in Figure A, we see in the blue block, we only see an early perceptual differences. So that would be something like word length. And then Figure B is what we're hoping to replicate is that N400. Yeah. So, and then Figure C is also a similar perceptual difference, which is orthographic, the repetition in the orthography of Mandarin. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all. All right, I think Julie, you are on deck. And Evelyn? Evelyn Velasquez is going to present on nutritional status and environmental and enteric dysfunction, EED, in children.
Hi, everyone. I am Evelyn Vasquez, and I'm going to be presenting on environmental enteric dysfunction in children. So, EED is a gut disorder that causes inflammation and poor nutrition absorption in children. This research is crucial because understanding the links between EED and nutritional deficiencies can guide development of effective interventions. So far, we have done a literature review on PubMed to learn more about EED and malnutrition, and we plan to use this information to create a statistical analysis plan. We will examine the associations between EED and iron, folate, and vitamins A and B12. And finally, we will create a DAG to lay out the exposures, outcomes, and determine potential co-founders. From the literature review, we found EED disrupts vitamin absorption pathways, and it causes a micronutrient deficiency. Micronutrients are important for energy production, immune function, and vision. Our hypothesis is that EED is negatively associated with micronutrient status in children. Our key takeaways are that EED compromises the gut's ability to absorb essential micronutrients. Chronic gut inflammation is associated with EED, and it's a major driver to malabsorption. The next phase of our research involves analyzing the data in R, creating figures and tables to visualize the results, and draft a manuscript. We will also be submitting a peer-reviewed journal. Our ultimate goal is to ensure that our work reaches a relevant audience and helps improve child health outcomes. And lastly, I want to thank the Building Belonging program because as a first-gen Mexican student, the Building Belonging program has given me a sense of community and purpose. It's inspired my passion for research that directly benefits underrepresented communities and solidified my path towards making a positive impact in our world. Thank you.
Thank you. I think one of the most special things about this program is that sense of identity that people get to be researchers and to hear those voices actually spoken out loud. That's so important to me. That we're halfway through. There is so much knowledge in this room right now. Micah is on deck, and I would like to welcome up Julie, who's going to speak to us about mapping recuperative history of Filipino farm workers in the Pajaro Valley, which is very much connected to an amazing exhibit going on today at the MA.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Finsmog, and I'm an undergraduate intern with Watsonville is in the Heart. In the 1920s and 30s, large groups of young Filipino men began migrating to the U.S. in search of work and educational opportunities, sparking tensions between Filipino migrants and white lower-class laborers. In January 1930s, a series of violent mob attacks perpetrated by white residents occurred in Watsonville, culminating in the death of Filipino farm worker Fermin Tobera. The goal of this project was to create a multimedia digital interactive map documenting the race riots while also highlighting the ways in which the Filipino community responded and persevered in the face of race-based violence and exclusion. This project consists of two maps, one chronologizing the 1930s anti-Filipino race riots and the other highlighting sites of Filipino community formation in the Pajaro Valley. In 2023, the Watsonville and This is in the Heart team did community-engaged fieldwork, including interviewing members of the community and taking contemporary photos of important sites for the map. I also did archival research and analysis, including reading and analyzing archived newspapers that reported on these events and looking for the chronology of events and looking at discourse analysis. And we incorporated interactive media into the map to highlight the voices and memories of the Filipino migrants and their descendants. This map adds to the limited scholarship around the 1930s race riots, and it highlights the transnational effects of Fermin Tobera's death and how that led to a revival of the independence movement in the Philippines. And this map also gives viewers a spatial awareness and understanding of the race riots, which has never been done before. I'd like to thank Building Belonging for allowing me to work as a year-long intern with Watsonville is in the Heart. And there's also a exhibition going on at the MA that's called Sowing Seeds. So I'd suggest that you guys go. We also have free field trips. So thank you.
Thank you for plugging the exhibit and great work. All right, first I have to say, Maya Mendoza, you are on deck. And I am welcoming up Micah Sargento, who's gonna help us understand a little bit of lead of STEM in genomics.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Micah Sargento, and for the past academic year, I've been working as a research assistant with the project lead under the supervision and mentorship of Jenny Reardon. Some of you may know her. And it is associated with the Sociology Department and the Science and Justice Research Center on campus. So LEAD is a multifaceted project. There are 3 teams within this collective that is AI, machine learning. There's a team devoted to neuroscience and genomics. And I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. LEAD is stands for the Leadership into Ethical and Equitable Design, specifically of STEM. We borrowed the term from green architecture. That's where the acronym LEAD comes from. And our subject of interest in all of these teams is to understand the ethical and social justice issues, how ethical and social justice issues are represented and how they're integrated into major science institutes. So think the NIH, the NHGRI, and in the context of genomics research, ELSI plays a really key role. ELSI is it's a field of scholarship now, it's a field of research, and it serves a particular role. It's a department within these science institutes, and it's tasked with tending to and predicting ethical concerns as they pertain to genomics research, genomics products, and application of those findings into clinical settings, and to settle ongoing debates. And it's a really demanding thing because, as you can imagine, the social issues related to genomics are constantly changing. We discover issues as they come up, and so it's this really reactive thing. And LEAD's interest in ELSI is to understand how this as a facet of the NIH, of the NHGRI, how it's effective, how it's ineffective. We're really interested in the structural aspects of funding and of some of the more qualitative aspects of ELSI as well, so like how it is interpreted conceptually and culturally by ELSI scholars. And that is a very brief rundown of what LEAD Genomics is interested in. And I would say, in my experience, what I have gotten to do as a part of this project is to conduct interview backgrounds, because I describe this research as it's empirical, but it's very much qualitative. And so I do things like preparing information for interviews and cleaning transcripts from the interviews, coding literature, because genomics as associated with the NIH is about 3 decades long. There's a very vast and old discourse that we try to interact with. And I've also just gotten to attend meetings and events and a kickoff that occurred. And that was really, it just demystified the research community, the social science research community. To me, it made me realize the value of investigative work of any kind, but especially investigative work that has to do with social issues, I think is particularly worthwhile. And getting to be in these meetings and go to these larger lead events showed me like the value of consortium and of interdisciplinary collaboration, because we get a lot of that at the SJRC. And I also, yeah, just appreciate the sheer exposure to social science research, getting access to language and also understanding how research gets funded, kind of like the temporality of it. And yeah, how am I doing on time? Awesome, great. Well, thanks y'all, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Micah. Dana and Ariam are on deck, and I would like to welcome up Maya Mendoza. Limitations to Development Through Neoliberal Free Trade Policies, Case Study on Campesinos in Mexico. Not present. I guess we will skip on to the next one. All right, so I guess we'll welcome up our on-deck team, Dana and Ariam. Are you all here? Oh, video.
Hello, today we will be presenting our research that is Rape Counseling and Crisis for Latinas, at Hispanic Serving Institutes and emerging Hispanic Serving Institutes. We've been working under faculty member Jamie Morse under the Sociology Department and Valerie Garcia. My name is Eram Coronado, and I am double majoring in Sociology and in Political Science, and I'm here with my classmate Dana Alvarez Hernandez, who is double majoring in Psychology and in Anthropology.
Our research project has consisted of identifying barriers that Latinx and undocumented undergraduates face in accessing post-rape medical care and mental health services across the UC system. This is important because there has been an increase in awareness of programs and services for sexual violence and sexual harassment survivors. However, it is crucial to identify patterns of disparity that directly affect Latinx and undocumented students within Hispanic serving institutions.
Some of our main contributions have been correct and analyze interview transcripts, develop analytical codes for data sets, inform ourselves about Title IX and the Clery Act, as well as VAWA policies and procedures. We've also coded a literature review on existing research on sexual violence and sexual harassment policies. Some of our key takeaways has been teamwork, learn the process of coding and transcribing, as well as comprehensive understanding of the fear of reporting the Latinx and undocumented students face.
This concludes our presentation. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't get to say the on deck, so I'm going to start with the on deck that is happening now. Eliana, you are on deck, and I would like to welcome up Blandina. Blandina, Conexiones Culturales, an examination of belonging and youth participatory action research with middle school Latin students.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I am Blandina Mendez. I am one of the research assistants working under Assistant Professor Saskia Casanova as part of the Migration Identity Education Lab, also known as MIEL. I'm working on Conexiones Culturales, an examination of belonging and youth participatory action research with middle school Latina students. Our goal for this project was to explore the role of intergenerational relationships that cultivate a sense of belonging within a learning community, which can be positively linked to academic achievements. With this goal in mind, we partnered with the local middle school and offered Conexiones Culturales as an after-school program. Throughout this year, middle school Latina students worked together collaboratively to propose and conduct research addressing a social issue that impacts their daily lives in school. For this project, I was a mentor who helped guide students through a research project, along with aiding with interviews, transcribing, and analyzing their life trajectory. As I continue focusing on YPAR, I have developed the following research question. How does resistance capital influence Latina adolescents to conduct research as a form of addressing social issues? Tara Yoso Cultural Wealth Model defines resistance capital as skills and knowledge that students use to resist systems of oppressions that they experience in their daily lives. In order to answer this question, I will be analyzing and coding the interviews that we gathered and transcribed. The interviews cover topics regarding culture, community building activities, school experience, future engagement, agency, and action. I find that by answering this question, we can better understand the role of resistance capital in students' engagement and activism, and how we can further allow students to use these skills and knowledge in academic settings. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Blandina. So our next student is protesting in solidarity. She's skipping. So we will not be hearing from Eliana and educational equity and agroecology today. So we will move on to Shayna Burns. Welcome, Shayna. And Sankofa Sky Farm.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shayna Burns. I'm a fourth year transfer student majoring in agroecology. My faculty mentors are Damian Parr and Stacey Philpott, both at the Center of Agroecology, and Michael Loic in the EMVS department. The name Sankofa Sky Farm, so Sankofa derives from a term in Africa, specifically in Ghana, which basically means know where you've been to know where you're going. So this research was founded by me last summer. The goal was to create a sustainable form of, or sustainable vertical farming system. And so to date, we started our first cohort in winter, where I manage a team of 13 undergraduate students. We were able to secure a lab at the farm where we're creating a proof of concept for that closed loop self-contained vertical farming system. The why for this research project is to increase access to healthy, affordable, and nutrient-dense produce, as well as increase access to opportunities for BIPOC community members and individuals who may want to get into farming, to create a new wave of farming, and to bring on a new wave of farming and farmers. And the how, like I said, so we're creating that closed loop self-contained system by integrating things like aquaponics. Currently at the farm, we utilize the fish effluent for irrigation instead of using synthetic nutrients. We're also looking into building our own anaerobic digester, which will help us produce biogas, which we could then convert to energy. And an atmospheric water generator, which allows us to pull moisture out of the air and basically use that water for the fish. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Shayna. I love learning about vertical farming. And did I get that right? Research I founded? Is that the statement? I like hearing that statement. Research I founded. Awesome. Sorry, Alyssa, Luke too. I didn't give you a on deck, but you are up. And on deck now is Leah. So I am welcoming Alyssa, and she'll speak about labor of decentralization, promises and extraction in the Web3 field.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Alyssa Lugtu, and I am under the supervision of Professor Zoe Zhao. Today I want to discuss a fascinating yet complex topic at the intersection of gaming, finance, and social justice. The use of NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, in the gaming industry and their broader implications. In the world of GameFi, players can earn or purchase unique NFTs representing in-game items, virtual real estate, or collectibles. These NFTs can then be sold or traded for profit on secondary markets. Their value often stems from their scarcity and utility across multiple games, creating significant demand and additional income opportunities for gamers. However, as we delve deeper into this market, we encounter a phenomenon known as predatory inclusion. This term refers to the financial inclusion of racial minorities, which, while seemingly beneficial, ultimately serves to exploit their gaming labor. Instead of genuinely and respectfully representing diverse characters and cultures, the industry often exploits these elements for profit through expensive, exclusive content. Our research into the GameFi market has revealed its volatility. Token prices can soar rapidly with the new game releases and play-to-earn features, only to plummet just as quickly. This pattern indicates that investor hype heavily influences the market, creating a risky environment for both players and investors. Additionally, the physical infrastructure supporting this digital economy, such as Bitcoin machines, such as this one here, located in Sunset District of San Francisco, are frequently targeted by people who see these as lower risk of being caught, and the potential for higher rewards coupled with the perception drives this incentive. These machines, often located in less secure, isolated areas, contain cash and valuable hardware, making them attractive targets for burglary. In summary, while NFTs and GameFi present exciting opportunities, they also bring significant challenges and ethical concerns. It's crucial for us to navigate this landscape thoughtfully, ensuring that financial inclusion doesn't turn into exploitation and that we address the security risks inherent in this evolving market. I just want to give a big thank you to the Building Belonging program at UC Santa Cruz, alongside Zoe Zhao, my professor. This has been a transformative experience for me, both personally and academically. Working closely with Zoe has given me great insight into the world of research and service learning. She has not only guided me academically, but has also become a role model, demonstrating the importance of perseverance, curiosity, and compassion in the pursuit of knowledge. I am profoundly grateful to the generous donors who make this program possible, and I am committed to paying forward the support and opportunities I have received. This program has not only enriched my academic journey, but has also nurtured my personal growth, fostering a sense of belonging and acceptance that I will carry with me beyond my time at UC Santa Cruz. Thank you.
Thank you for that. There will never be an end to the good you have done in this world. All right, on deck right now is Valeria, and I would like to welcome Leah Toledo, Language Comprehension and Cognitive Control.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well today, despite everything going on this week. Today I'll be presenting a brief talk on the project I worked on this year alongside Dr. Bodewin in the Cognitive Neuroscience Lab. Last year, I was here talking about how I was being trained to do EEG experiments on participants, and this year I was able to independently run EEG experiments and collect a full set of data for one of our experiments, and we are currently collecting data for a new project, which is a variant of this experiment. The projects were called ACC3, ACC3B, and ACC4. Here we presented ambiguous and unambiguous sentences to participants. The order depended on which project it was. The goal of these projects was to see if reading these sentences engaged in cognitive control. For the original studies, the results showed that theta activity, which reflected the engagement of adapted control mechanisms in response to detection of conflict. It also provided evidence for adaptive control effects engaged by purely lexical ambiguity. For ACC4, the current project, we wanted to see if doing trial-by-trial effects would show improvement in cognitive processing. In addition to independently running participants, I also began learning how to pre-process our EEG data, which includes running independent component analysis, which is cleaning up the EEG data by removing eye artifacts, such as blinks, which is an essential skill for coding in MATLAB, and this will aid me in fully processing data in the upcoming year. And finally, I want to say thank you to the Building Belonging program for funding this awesome research and to Dr. Bodewin for entrusting me with such responsibilities. Thank you.
Autumn, you are on deck, and I would like to welcome up Valeria Cuevas, Public Perspectives of Carbon Dioxide Removal Technologies.
Hi everybody, my name is Valeria Cuevas. I am an environmental studies student, and I got to work with Professors Kenna Jenna and PhD students Delaney Pues and Zachary Dove, whose research model we based this off of. So I suppose the first question I'd like to address is, what are carbon dioxide removal technologies? These are technologies that remove legacy carbon emissions from the atmosphere, such as direct air capture. However, included in this definition are also natural processes that we'd like to enhance. One example of this is blue carbon, and to narrow that down a little bit would be wetland carbon storage. So what we are doing is conducting a literature review to identify who this research is focused on and where this research is taking place. And why might this be important? It is because assessing community concerns will be very critical to long-term implementation and success of such technologies. We can also assess who is being left out of these conversations. And typically these are the climate vulnerable communities that these technologies are established in. And so using this information, we can inform future research and future community engagement. My own personal contributions are that I've helped identify the literature in CDR perceptions research. And once these were determined to fit our criteria, I've gone through and I've coded each paper individually for information relevant to our research questions. And we're currently assessing this information to later write a manuscript. My personal takeaways are that community engagement is extremely vital to making change in many, many fields of research. In this particular instance, science can only really take us halfway. The Jenna Cha Lab, which I've been very lucky to be a part of, thanks to Building Belonging, really emphasizes that environmental justice is extremely necessary to a successful transition to a more sustainable and just future. And this project has definitely shown me that. Thank you.
I just want to acknowledge that the room has grown, which is great, and that I think the key takeaways from that has to get into our final report, especially coming from a student. All right, I would like to, well, first I have to say who is on deck. Who is on deck? Lourdes and Anai, I think you are on deck. And I am actually very excited about this next one, Autumn Montez and Qualitative Methods for Co-Design Research.
Hello everyone, and thank you for coming today. My name is Autumn Montez, and I'll be talking about my experience as a co-design partner within the broader research team of undergrad research assistants, graduate students, and teachers. I want to start by defining what co-design is. Co-design is a participatory research method that views everyone as equal collaborators in the design and collaboration process. It seeks to find solutions by bringing together members of the community, known as research partners, to create a product that provides an effective solution that is relevant for the community who will benefit from it. Through participating with the co-design team, I was able to gain qualitative research skills, such as writing jottings and field notes based on artifacts and field observations. This helped me develop skills around observation, my analytical lens, and interpretation using critical theory framework. A co-design approach to research provided me a space to reflect on my observations I made and guided my ever-changing interests in research questions. It also helped me hone my skills as a researcher around documenting relevant or impactful information in real time to reflect and capture later on. I also gained skills surrounding my multiple roles as a participant, co-facilitator, co-learner, and researcher in the co-design team. Learning how to be fully present and participate in the community while also keeping in mind my input and influence, all while maintaining an analytical lens to decide what moments were relevant to the research questions. I would then use this lens to help me interpret these interactions as complex, multi-layered, insightful instances and turn these into analytical memos. Although this is a powerful and insightful research method, it still holds some dilemmas to consider. One is how to properly reposition yourself and your lens as a researcher while holding on to the needs and interests of a larger collaborative. Also, the ethical and political dimensions of conducting research that honors the needs and interests of the marginalized and vulnerable people. I want to take the time to thank the Building Belonging program for this opportunity, and also to thank my faculty mentor for her multiple years of mentorship, guidance, and support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Liliana and Jennifer, you are on deck. And I would like to welcome up Lourdes Onielas, Tracking Colonial Deportations in South America.
Hi everyone, my name is Lourdes, and I worked with my partner Anaí and my professor Jeffrey Urbig on this project. The basis of this project is heavily reliant on archival research. So what the process begins looking like, it starts off with archival documents that look like up there in the top right. And what my professor did was transcribe them and put them into documents that kind of look like this, and he would give them to me. And I would pull the information out of these documents and put it into a database called Airtable that looks like right there at the bottom left. And the information we're getting from this, we begin to learn how during the colonial times of South America in the 1700s, they would target indigenous men, men of lower class, and people who did not conform to colonial social norms. And it was really interesting to kind of see the archival background of it. And one interesting detail that I learned is that a lot of the people during this time period were illiterate. So these are lists of the people in the prisons. So from month to month, the same person could have the same name, of course, but it would be spelled differently. And that sometimes caused complications because I wasn't always able to identify whether it was the same person or a different person. So what I got out of this is kind of dipping my toes into learning about archival research and implementing information to databases, which I have never done before. And also I learned how to appreciate like the accumulation of narrations of individual stories rather than just quantitative data. And I also, because of this, I also on the side began to create a personal project with Airtable and putting data and where I would collect my dreams and analyze them. And my partner would like to share her experience. One second.
Throughout my time participating as a research assistant, I've contributed to the expansion of Professor Urbig's Destello Colonial database. While the majority of my work has been carried out remotely and asynchronously, Professor Urbig, Lourdes, and I have convened on a weekly basis over the past 2 quarters in order to collaborate and gain support on developing databases for our own research endeavors. Lourdes' database tracks her dreams and identifies common narratives that occur over time. My database organizes and tracks the different organic materials and recipes used to create ceramic glazes. It also distinguishes the various effects firing time and materials have on the overall finish of a glaze.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I would like to welcome up Jennifer and Liliana to present Mapping Community Life, using story maps to explore histories of resilience in the Central Andes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Liliana Barajas, and unfortunately my partner Jennifer isn't able to be here today, so I'll be presenting on behalf of the both of us. Yes, as I mentioned before, my name is Liliana Barajas. I am part of the Anthropology and Literature departments here on campus. The project that I worked on under the mentorship of Professor Carla Hernandez Garavito, also part of the anthropology department, is titled Mapping Community Life, using story maps to explore histories of resilience in the Central Andes. So, Jennifer and I worked on 2 projects separately to create this narrative. The goals of my project were to transcribe documents for accessibility, analyze locations via ArcGIS, and create connections between the Spanish legal system and indigenous rights to lands. Jennifer's project focused on a Cheseria narrative, and her goals were to the role played in the Andean world in medicinal and healing practices within the community, associations that can be made to huacas and deities, And some of the cases that she used included people such as Pedro Vilca Guaman, Isabel Juani, Isabel de la Concepción, y Lorenzo Huayura. I hope I said that right. And so the research process that we used was to first transcribe documents that were written in colonial Spanish, which at times can be very difficult due to the cursive that they used. And then after we transcribed them, we then analyzed our individual documents to find locations. And once we found those locations, we used the software called ArcGIS to pinpoint them and map them. And after we have both done these, we ran various analyses used through maps. The ones that I used were cross-travel analysis, and this is used to decipher how the legal documents were getting from place to place and how that affected the legal system. The main takeaways from my research specifically were to create a new relationship between time and space and the colonial Spanish legal system, and how the indigenous leaders and also community members used the Spanish colonial system that was imposed upon them to gain or maintain control over the lands that were historically communal lands. And as land ownership, the definition of land ownership was changing over time, they then had to adjust and assimilate almost and take power within the system that was taking power away from them. And then the 2 QR codes are to our final story maps. I highly encourage you guys to go look at them. The top one is mine, and then the bottom one is Jennifer's. And I would like to thank the Building Belonging Project for allowing us to work with Professor Hernandez on this amazing project. And thank you so much for your time, everyone.
Thank you, Liliana. It was great seeing Catherine nod along with that. I know that our dean loves justice and maps and how the two interact over time. So it's really great. I think that meant a lot to her. All right, I think the other Jennifer is not here. She was on that project, another project as well. So I should be inviting up Jennifer Rojas Heras. It's a video? Okay. And they're going to be presenting on defining culturally competent perinatal care for Indigenous farm workers.
My name is Jennifer Rojas Heras.
And I'm Jennifer Silon Sochi.
We are thrilled to introduce our project Defining Culturally Competent Perinatal Care for Indigenous Farm Workers in collaboration with Campesina Womb Justice, founded by local midwife Maria Ramos Bracamontes, is at the forefront of providing essential services to farm workers.
Despite the growing recognition of the importance of culturally competent healthcare, there remains a significant gap in research in undocumented Indigenous population. This project sought to fill that void by working with Mixtec community círculos, taking ethnographic field notes and conducting surveys, interviews, and comprehensive literature reviews. And our aim was to ensure that the voices and the experiences of Mixtec farm workers are not only heard, but also central on the discourse on perinatal healthcare equity.
Our literature review revealed that culturally competent perinatal care should recognize the intricate balance of hot and cold energies within Mixtec culture. In Mixtec tradition, the journey of life is intimately intertwined with the interplay of hot and cold energies. During pregnancy, women are thought to become excessively hot, necessitating a careful balance of hot and cold foods to maintain well-being. After childbirth, both mother and infant are considered cold and delicate, requiring the mother consume hot foods postpartum to avoid imbalances that could lead to illness or death.
When it came to the surveys that we conducted, next slide, please. There was a total of 31 respondents, which aged average of 34 years old, and whose kids, who amounted to like 3 kids, and the average age of working in the field being 11 years. We did word coding, finding out what basic necessities or what necessities were central to this community. And that included a total of 27.5% for rent code, a food code of 20.6% and 16.7% being childcare code, and a desire for a better job being 21.6% with 13.7% being food insecurity. And so when we discuss this too, we are learning about the need for adequate representation and the culture sensitivity that's needed to that's needed for this community. And a very important survey question we asked was about the hygienic essentials, which said that up to 54.2% did not use a menstrual pad, which is important to know, considering that almost half of the indigenous farmers. But yes, thank you.
Thank you.
So it's already happened. We've arrived at our last presentation. So I'd like to welcome up Simran Garir and Gohan Garcia, Coastal Climate Change Resilience Project.
Hi, I'm Simran.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the question that we asked with our faculty mentor, Dr. Galina Hale, and our PhD students, Bhavya Sharma and Ted Liu, was regarding rebuilding in California reflecting climate change mitigation and adaptation needs. And just looking at as climate disasters increase, like large amounts of money are spent rebuilding. So is there equity to the access of funding? Are policies that are directed for rebuilding more resilient and greener structures, are they effective? A lot of financially vulnerable households may not have the ability to rebuild for future climate mitigation and adaptation needs. And then we look at climate change injustice and any policy takeaways that we can get from that.
Yeah, and the data sources that we got were the American Housing Survey, which we used to get all of the demographic variables and data on households that would be affected. Then we got the FEMA disaster declarations, which included, it would help us to find disasters, the time frames which they occurred in, so we could identify them. Then we got the FEMA National Household Survey data, which is where we got the disaster preparedness variables, how confident and the steps taken to prepare for natural disasters were by households. And we got a FEMA Hazard Mitigation Assistance Project, which is what we used in the second graph over there, hazard mitigated properties, and then California Policy Lab data. And the most useful of these data sources were definitely the FEMA household survey data and the hazard mitigation projects, which is what we used to build all of the graphs subsequently explained.
Yes, and so these data sets range from the years of 2017 to 2022. These data sets mostly come from the US Census data, so they're publicly available. Our job was data mining and data cleaning, a lot of it. A lot of these data sets are really big. And so it was looking at the variables, cutting down to the variables that we needed and we wanted that could help answer our question. And then it was a lot of data visualization and summarization using R. As you see on the slideshow, like the top graph looks at the correlation between a lot of variables. It's a correlation matrix between variables, which was very interesting to do. And then another graph was, we looked at a scatter plot of disasters, county years, and we've just made a bunch of these graphs and found certain key takeaways.
Which the main one of them is just how many graphs we had to build. I think that's one of the main things we learned during this project is just the fact that when you have a big data and you intuitively know the relationships you will find, but it's just a visualization which makes it easier to comprehend. And even though you will not prove anything precisely by finding a nicely sloped curve, you can still know where the research direction will take you by seeing this. Then some obvious relationships that we found, but we proved, no, not proved exactly, but we saw in the data where factors such as income, race, and education being related to how informed and prepared households were to face climate disasters in the future. And in a similar vein, education, attainment, and race were related to being more informed, which is another sort of the data set in the FEMA. And then we found that some counties in California experienced more aid from the hazard mitigation projects than others. And they were probably related also on factors such as income attainment and education, but also on experiences of previous climate disasters as well. And this is all something that we graphed in over, I kid you not, hundreds of graphs and that was great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So we actually have one more presentation. So we are going to welcome up Maya Mendoza, who is going to present to us Limitations to Development through Neoliberal Free Trade Policies, a case study on campesinos in Mexico.
Hello. Yeah, my name is Maya Mendoza. I did this as part of like a senior thesis research project. So it's been just me and my professor working on basically like storytelling and like using storytelling as part of research. Do I press next here? Is that how? Okay. So yeah, the question is, how have the dynamics between the U.S. and Mexico developed, and how have these like been able to allow the U.S. to have such dominance in the global trade market? The story is made a lot more clear when you look at like the history of imperialism and colonization, as well as like how that transitioned into neoliberal globalization. This is a photo of the area that the case study is in back in like the 80s. And then there's like photos now, and you can see, oh my God, there's something in my throat. And you can see how like just different the lifestyles have changed. And then that's a photo of the sugarcane fields. Okay, yeah, so in the case study, I interviewed 3 generations of migrants and of people who are still in the town, and people who've like majority migrated due to the pressures from like NAFTA and like globalized neoliberal trade policy, specifically implemented from the US to Mexico, and specifically in this area being like sugarcane. Okay, yeah, this is more photos of like how it looks like now. So like previously the area was like the fields were all used for like sustenance farming. So it was like corn, beans, peppers, chilies, like things people could eat. And now the fields are mostly corn and sugarcane because of the sugarcane company that came in that's foreign owned. And it gained like a lot of dominance after NAFTA. So yeah, why is this research important? I feel like under the immense pressure from climate change, rising global tensions, we need to have an honest understanding about the weaknesses to our current world systems. Neoliberalism and capitalism have obviously been the dominant ones of the Western world, and the Western world dominates over the third world. But in reality, there's no proven gain, basically, for the people of these like developing nations under like neoliberal trade policy or the ideologies that come with that. There is no going back, but examining and documenting past impacts of development strategies onto traditional communities provides insight to the genuine limitations of these ideologies. And even though there's quite literally no going back in this place, I think how we develop forward will be very much based on traditional lifestyles and ways to like re-support our relationship with the land, specifically like indigenous and campesino communities who have had such tied relationships with the land. And yeah, this opportunity allowed me to practice collecting data, conducting formal interviews, and writing and synthesizing research. So thank you Building Belonging, and thank you to my professor.
So that was an amazing set of projects that everyone has just presented, and I cannot understate the amount of work that actually it took for you all to produce that. I know the students that have gone through it now understand that, and they kind of get a sense of what it actually takes to put the rigor involved into changing the world through research. But that is exactly the work that we all have to do, and I really appreciate the professionalism that the students brought to this. We have landed perfectly on time, which is outstanding given the knowledge that was shared and the amount of projects that were out there and the amount of collaboration that's going on. So I just want to recognize the expertise in the room that has been developed. I also want to say that it's not just about that research. It is about the opportunity that has just been created in this room through this program. At the Institute for Social Transformation, we administer this program, but it is the students and it is the faculty who are actually doing that hard work and making those experiences happen. So I just want to open it up for a round of applause. Thank you, students. Thank you, faculty members, for making this happen. And thank you to our donors who have opened up this field and opportunities for things like this to continue to occur. This is just a marvelous experience. I really encourage you all to get to stay. Enjoy when the refreshments outside and get to know each other. It is really through that community and through this humanity that we share together that we can continue and grow and have that impact. So thank you. Please stay and enjoy this beautiful place that we share.